The colonization of Mercian was still in its early stages. The planet was much smaller than the Earth, and the other couple of planets where humanity had found a new home. However, Mercian was special due to a few reasons. The place was gorgeous. First of all, it was overflowing with potential. Lush meadows, crystalline deep bodies of water, clean air, and all the necessary conditions of human life to prosper. At the moment, the planet was inhabited mostly by all kinds of construction workers and their bosses. The constructions of necessary buildings was going well. The first neighborhoods were halfway done, but for the time being, people lived in large and comfortable tents. But tents nonetheless. It was a small, tight-knit community, supportive and optimistic about the future they were going to share in this new world. Because the first harvest of crops planted in Mercian was about to happen, the workers were allowed the opportunity to bring in members of their families from other planets to officially start their new lives in Mercian. The tents were overflowing with life and joy and laughter. People were feasting with early harvest. Parents were showing their kids the wonders of the new planets, the breathtaking sights, the unfamiliar territories. And at the big tent on the side, the place where all the activity in Mercian was being supervised, we were worried. I was one of the head supervisors in there, and I watched it all unfold in front of me. It all started with one of the scientists sitting behind a computer screen every day. Her name was Erin, and she addressed me with furrowed brows and a printed sheet of paper filled with ominous red numbers. "Boss, we have detected a significant elevation of the temperature at the center of the planet," Erin told me. I pride myself on taking a good look at the first warning she gave me. It's nothing to worry about, Erin. More people, more activity on the surface. This reaction is understandable, and the levels of heat aren't concerning yet. Keep an eye on it, I told her. I'm not that proud of how I handled that warning, though. However, at the end of the day, Anne arrived at my desk with a full stack of papers, all depicting similar red numbers. "Jonathan, with all due respect, this is goddamn concerning," Erin said, dropping the stack of papers on my desk for me to read while she gave me the highlights. "The heat at the center of the planet keeps going up, fast. 2 Earth tremors on the other side of the planet, one stronger than the other. Even our readings of the quality of the air have changed." I took a deep breath and prepared to breach an order from above. "Erin, listen." I lowered my voice as I explained. I'm so sorry you weren't warned, but this has been going on for a while. It started with a chunk of our crops mysteriously dying a couple of weeks ago. We had to start building something quick so people wouldn't notice. The species we introduced, they started showing up dead in one of the rivers. We had to restrict the zone. There was an acid rain on the other side of the planet just the other day. You weren't meant to find out these details, but I guess you're too good at your job. Erin frowned and asked me, "Why does nobody know? Do you know how much money will be lost if people start running away scared and abandon the projects in Mercian?" I retorted. "Do you know how many lives will be lost if Mercian turns out to be unsafe?" She fought right back. I sighed once more, knowing she was right, but she wasn't even done. "The earth tremors on the east were bad, Jonathan," she said. "I think an entire fissure might have opened up on the surface. At least send some people out there to check." You're right, all right," I agreed. "I'll speak with the general." I stuck to my promise and convinced the general in charge to send 2 military units, just to investigate the location marked in red on Erin's papers. The only condition of the general was to send them during the night, so hopefully nobody of the common population will worry. However, right around dawn, things started going downhill. I was catching just a few hours of sleep in one of the bunk beds on a different tent. I wasn't getting much sleep these days. A commotion outside woke me up, but my body was trying desperately to cling to sleep. That's when I heard my name getting called. "Jonathan!" It was the general? That was odd. I sat up quickly and rubbed the sleep off my eyes to find the general had already stormed into the tent, with 2 subordinates at his side. "You have a lot of explaining to do, Doc," the general told me. "What's going on?" I asked him. "It's a disaster!" the general exclaimed angrily. "My men returned to the base scared like little girls, Jonathan. There's not a crack on the surface of the planet. There's a goddamn crater opening up. It's spreading like a serpent. You have to fix this, now." I gulped nervously. This was really bad. There was obviously no way to stop something like this, but there was a way to know how bad things were. "Aaron," I whispered. I quickly put on my lab coat and shoes and rushed out of the tent, with the general and company following closely behind me. I found Aaron already walking towards us. "Aaron, thank God," I exclaimed. Please give me some good news." "I was right," she replied. "Don't look so excited," I frowned. "Tell me, how bad is it?" "Very," Aaron said. She didn't waste any time explaining. "I was just finishing interviewing one of the soldiers. To hear him tell it, Jonathan, it looks like hell coming up to drag us down. The overheating of the center of the planet could be the reason behind everything. The tremors created a crack and there's no way to tell when, where, or if it's going to stop. The soldiers mentioned sightings of gas and smoke coming from the crater. It could be poisonous. Absolutely. There could be lava, most likely, worse than in other planets. If the core of the planet is burning up, one of the soldiers, I think you should see him, Jonathan." The soldier in question had been leading the expedition and had been the last one to return. He was severely burned in both legs and his hands, slightly delirious, quite sick, and I had to listen to him through a screen, considering he was immediately put in quarantine. As he spoke, the soldier broke into tears. "I was following orders. I needed to know what that was. How deep, how dangerous. I had to. And then the ground. Oh God. Everything started shaking. I fell to the ground and it was crumbling under my hands. And it was burning. I screamed and tried to get up, but I was going down. Down. It was hell. It was hell. It was hell. A coughing attack interrupted the man from saying more, but I didn't need to hear any more. "We have to evacuate the planet," I said quietly, knowing full well we were all in extreme danger. Aaron and I walked out of there and found the general waiting for us, with just one of his officers at his side. This time the general looked much more rattled. "People talked," the general announced. "Now, everybody is losing their minds. I just talked with my wife. Our private tent was ransacked. They know they're in danger and choose to take advantage of it, to turn against each other, to forget rules and common decency. It's sick." I couldn't wait. I had to tell him. "We have to evacuate, General. Immediately." Before he could agree or protest, one of his officers arrived at his side to deliver the bad news, but it was already too late. Aaron gasped and pointed at the sky. "Oh my God! What is that?" All of us looked up and watched one of the spaceships taking off from Mercian, but something went wrong. I had seen many ships take off, and I doubt they were supposed to tremble and twist like that. While the ship struggled to gain height, the general shared the news with us. "A group of workers found out there's a catastrophe coming for us. They stormed the base with their families and robbed one of the ships to try to escape. They don't have an experienced pilot with them." That last statement suddenly became obvious as we watched the ship suddenly start to lose altitude. The air was filling with fearful screams. Everyone was watching. The engines of the ship spluttered and finally went out. We all watched with bated breath as the ship looked suspended in the air for just a minute, but it was an illusion. It tilted on its side and then started to fall with full force on our little exoplanet. The moment the ship crashed on the surface was a breathtaking horror. The entire planet trembled beneath our feet. A massive cloud of dirt, sand, and soil raised up and waved all around us. Dust filled my ears and eyes, and all of my senses filled with tragedy. When things felt stable enough again, we ran in the general direction of the ship, and everyone watched the wreckage from far away and were stunned to silence. That's until, once again, we felt the ground tremble underneath our feet. The tremors got stronger and stronger, and we gasped when we realized a new crack was opening on the surface of the planet. A new round of desperate screams rose all around us. I look around and I could see tents falling apart as people tried to escape. Some of them catching fire. Innocent people probably getting caught and forgotten during the chaos. The general grabbed Aaron's shoulders roughly and asked her, "I thought you said the crack was coming from the east!" This is West! She yanked her arm away and replied just as harshly. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, General, but we're doomed. The destruction of the planet is coming at us from all angles now. There's no time, no solution, no salvation. And you put off the evacuation long enough. I had worked with Erin for years, and I had never been this proud of her. I found myself hoping we both would make it out of here alive. Just then, a group of soldiers drove a military vehicle up to us, and the General invited Erin and I with him. The vehicle included a sound system that allowed the General to speak the following message, and to be listened everywhere in the camps around us as we drove at a steady pace. Attention, please! The safety of our people in this planet has been compromised. Immediate evacuation is necessary. I repeat, immediate evacuation is necessary. Please, make your way to the spacecraft station. Keep calm and move promptly. I repeat, make your way to the station as quickly as possible. The message started replaying automatically, and loud sirens started blasting all around us. Erin and I winced at the loud noises. If anything, this was making us all much more scared for our lives. Suddenly, the General leaned closer to us and wondered with disgust. What is wrong with people? I turned to look at where he was pointing. We were passing by the tents where most of the population lived, and the sight was confusing and almost as frightening as the planet breaking down. Because we weren't witnessing natural chaos. This was man-made evil. They aren't leaving! I stated the obvious as we watched this disaster unfold before our eyes. They are choosing to loot each other's houses? They rather have a chance to rob their neighbors than save their lives? They prefer stealing, betraying, murdering. As I said the last word, I heard Erin scream horrified beside me. We were watching as a man turned against another, using his tools from work to brutally murder the other one. Was it a matter of revenge, settling pending debts, or just taking advantage of the overall chaos to unleash feral urges? What if the gas coming up from the cracks on the planet's surface were really poisonous? What if we were all about to turn on each other? That distressing train of thought made me shiver, but I was quickly distracted when the General yelled, "Look out!" Our neighbors had noticed the military vehicle passing by, and instead of listening to the orders that would save their lives, they decided to attack us. The first men that started running after us, the soldiers shot him. Not only the sound of their gun would haunt me forever, that cruel ringing in my ears, but the sight of the limp bodies falling to the ground, piling on top of each other, the blood splattering across the road. It was too much to bear. Erin and I closed our eyes, but in a matter of seconds, there were too many people coming at us. One of them yanked my leg and I screamed, holding onto the vehicle with all of my strength. The General grabbed a gun and shot this person as well, but it was hopeless. We had to abandon the car, and not all the soldiers managed to escape with us. But while the people took over the car and its contents, we ran for our lives. The station was nearby, and we could see people boarding the emergency shuttles that would take us off this dying planet. I would bet not even half of Mercian's population would save themselves. The General, Erin and I ran as fast as we could, and only a handful of people joined us. The ground trembled underneath us. We stumbled and yelled when our skin touched the burning soil underneath our feet, but we helped each other back up. The ground continued to open up, crumbling, spilling hot lava onto the surface and dangerous gas. The crops caught fire. The tents in our camps were destroyed. People lost their minds. And the three of us boarded a spaceship that was the very last one to leave that cursed, doomed, and hopeless planet.